Hi and welcome, students. In today's lesson, I will explain to you all about quantifiers. So let's begin. What are quantifiers? Quantifiers indicate amounts or quantities of things. In this video, we are going to look at how to use and the differences between the following quantifiers. Again, in this video, we are going to look at how to use and the differences between the following quantifiers. What are quantifiers we said? They are much, many, lots of, a lot of, few, a few, a little, little, some, and any. But before I get to the quantifiers, I have to talk about the countable and uncountable nouns. So before we get started, we have to talk about the countable nouns and the uncountable nouns. So to determine which quantifier to use, you have to know if the noun that you are describing a quantity for is a countable or uncountable noun. That's the first step before you know which quantifier to use. Now let's look at the examples. Here we have countable nouns. We have countable noun apple. Okay, so apple is a countable noun. We know that we can count apples. So in the first sentence, there is an apple on the tree. There is an apple on the tree. And the second example, there are apples on the tree. Here we can count them, so we can add an S to say there are more than one apple. So countable nouns, we can make them plural by adding S. Next example, with uncountable noun, in this case, we are talking about sand. Now here, sand is what we call mass noun. What is a mass noun? A mass noun is a group of something, and we count a group as one. So they're singular. For example, in number 3, there is sand on the beach. You see, it's counted as one, and we would never say there are sands on the beach. We would never say there are sands on the beach. We can't pluralize it. So if you can determine if the noun is a countable or uncountable noun, you'll be able to use quantifiers with no problem whatsoever. The first quantifier is much. Much is used to determine the quantity of uncountable nouns, and it's usually used in questions and negative sentences. So let's look at the first example. How much ice cream do you want? How much ice cream do you want? Here, much is determining or describing the amount of ice cream. So ice cream, we know, is uncountable. It's an uncountable noun, so we use much. We can't count ice cream, as we know. It's another mass noun, a group. And in second example, you don't have much time before the bus leaves. You don't have much time before the bus leaves. Here, there is a negative sentence we're talking about. You don't have enough time, and the time in this example is uncountable. So we use much. Now let's look at many. Many is used with plural countable nouns. Again, many is used with plural countable nouns. Mainly used in questions and negative sentences. Again, it's mainly used in questions and negative sentences, somewhat similar to much. It's a large quantity of something, but many is the alternative to much because many quantifies countable nouns like in the first example. How many cookies do you want? How many cookies do you want? So cookie, we know, is a countable noun. You can count cookies for sure. The second example, there aren't many cars on the highway today. There aren't many cars on the highway today. So many means a large quantity. So if we say there aren't many, we mean there are not a lot of cars on the highway, and cars, as we know, is a countable noun. Moving along, 2. A lot of and lots of. This one is very easy because they are used with uncountable and plural countable nouns. Usually used in positive sentences, and like much and many, they are used to quantify large amounts. So in this first example, I have, there is a lot of bread on the table. Here we know that bread is uncountable noun, so we can also say as number 2, there is lots of bread on the table. They both mean the same thing. Again, they both mean the same thing. So you can use a lot of or lots of with uncountable nouns. All right, now let's look at question number 3 and 4. There are a lot of windows in that house. Windows here is a countable noun, so we can pluralize it and put an S in this case. Question 4. There are lots of windows in that house. So 3 and 4 again mean the same thing. Again, 3 and 4 mean the same thing as 1 and 2. Let's move along to few and a few. They are used with plural countable nouns, and they usually mean a small amount or quantity of something. So let's look at the example 1. Few students walk to school in the country. Few students walk to school in the country. When few is used like this, it's to emphasize is on the small amount of students who walk to school. Again, when few is used like this, it's to emphasize the small amount of students who walk to school. Number 2, a few students walk to school in the country. Again, the emphasis is on the small amount of students, but there are at least some students. But be careful. Be careful of this exception. Quite in front of a few changes everything. As you see in this exercise, in this sentence, quite a few students walk to school in the country. So in this sentence, it means that many, quite here is referring to many students. So quite a few means many again. So quite could change the whole meaning of the sentence. You can use it, but just remember what it means. Okay, again, you can use it, but just remember what it means. Moving along to our next quantifier is little and a little. Now, these two are used with uncountable nouns, and they usually mean a small amount or small quantity of something. Let's look at the examples. We had little time to prepare for the test. We had little time to prepare for the test. In this sentence, we have little time means that we had not any time at all. Very small amount of time. Okay? So we had a very small amount of time in this example. Number 2, we had a little time to prepare for the test. We had a little time to prepare for the test. This also means a small amount of time, but it was still some time. You see how the different it is from the first one. We had some time. It's a little bit different from little. Now let's look at our next quantifier, and it's some. Some is used with countable and uncountable nouns. Again, some is used with both countable and uncountable nouns. It's used in positive sentences, and it's used when we are offering something, and it's used with request. Again, some is used with both countable and uncountable nouns. It's used in positive sentences, it's used when we're offering something, and it's also used when we have a request. Now let's look at the first example. He has some friends with him. He has some friends with him. Friend, as we know, is a countable noun, and this is a positive sentence. He has some friends. Number 2, he bought some iced tea for his friends. He bought some iced tea for his friends. Now, iced tea is uncountable. Again, iced tea, as we know, is uncountable noun, but we still can use some as, so as I said, it can be used with countable or uncountable nouns. Number 3, we have, would you like some coffee? Would you like some coffee? This is an offering. Like when you ask someone, would you like some coffee? This is you're offering that person if they would like to have or if they would like to drink some coffee. And number 4, we have, could I borrow some money, please? Could I borrow some money, please? Now, as we know, this is a request. Okay, and our final quantifier is any. Any is used with both countable and uncountable nouns, usually used in negative sentences and questions. Let's look at the first example. She doesn't have any friends at this school. She doesn't have any friends at the school. This is a negative and friends, this is a negative sentence, and friends, as we know, is countable. Example number 2. There isn't any milk left in the refrigerator. There isn't any milk left in the refrigerator. It's another negative. There is no milk. Milk is uncountable, as we know. And our third example is there any money in your bank account? Is there any money in your bank account? This is a question. Is there any isn't a negative, again, is there any money in your bank account? This is a neutral question, meaning it's not negative or positive. Again, this is a neutral question, not negative or positive, just asking if there is any money in your bank account. So that's all for quantifiers. Here I have a summary. You can pause this video to better understand. I hope this video was helpful, and good luck until our next lesson. I have, just like the summary, quantifiers, when to use much, many, lots, a lot, a few, little, a little, some, and any. Study it carefully. This will be on your exam. Pause, rewind, watch the video as many times. It's quite simple. If you understand when to use each quantifier, you will be better at making sentences, asking questions, making offers, and so on. And here I have a summary in Arabic to even better understand quantifiers. So we have like a little means كمية قليلة من, many means العدد الكثير من, a few means العدد القليل من, a lot of means كثير من, some means بعض, and any means a. And then when to use them on your right. Take a minute, study them, make sure you memorize them, please, and you will be just excellent knowing quantifiers. And finally, I have like a positive quote for you. Always believe something wonderful is about to happen. Let's stay positive, let's think positive, and let's try to feel positive. Good luck, and until our next lesson. Ciao.